You ever get that feeling that you're kind of playing by a different set of rules? Like the usual pressures, the manipulations that seem to work on everyone else, they just don't land with you? Well, we're going to dive right into that today. We're exploring this really fascinating idea of the individual as a statistical anomaly, the kind of person who completely breaks the systems designed to predict.
I mean, this quote just says it all, doesn't it? It captures this idea that's really bubbling up in a lot of online spaces right now. But what's wild is that it has roots that go back thousands of years. We're talking about the idea of someone who just defies every single expectation. You know, a walking contradiction that takes apart the very frameworks built to control us.
So the modern story, the modern myth, kind of goes like this. There are these super advanced behavioral models out there, right? The kind that can map out every predictable human response to trauma, to pressure, to manipulation, and they work perfectly on like 99.9% of people. But they completely and utterly fail on this tiny, unprofilable slice of the population.
So let's start right there with this modern idea. Just imagine a system, a massive system, built on one single assumption, that every human being can be broken, that pain always follows a predictable pattern. And then it runs India. And instead of folding under all that pressure, you evolve. You don't just survive the psychological games, no, you absorb them. You actually use them as fuel.
And here's the key word for all of this. It's not resilient, it's anti-fragile. And there's a huge difference, right? Resilience means you get hit and you bounce back to where you started. But anti-fragile? That means you actually gain from disorder. So stress, chaos, attacks, they don't just fail to break you. They literally make you stronger and wiser and more capable than you were before.
Okay, but why? Why would this anomaly even exist? Well, to get to the why behind this whole 0.1% idea, we've got to go way back. I'm talking nearly 2,000 years back, to an ancient kind of secret text that describes the fabric of our world in a way that is, well, it's shockingly similar.
And that brings us to an ancient Gnostic text called the Apocryphon of John. And get this, it describes our reality not as some perfect divine creation, but as a flawed system, kind of like a prison, built by a lesser, ignorant creator god.
Yeah, this creator's name is Yaldabaoth, and the story goes that he was basically born from a mistake. And in his pride, in his total ignorance, he looks around and thinks, I am the one true God. He has no idea there's a higher, more perfect reality that he came from. So he creates all these authorities, these archons, to help him rule over his broken little kingdom. And this is where the connection just clicks into place. Look at this. On one side, you've got the ancient Gnostic view. The world is a tomb run by a jealous creator who wants to keep humanity in oblivion. And on the other side, the modern story. A world full of manipulative models and silent wars that only work if you're predictable. I mean, the parallels are just, they're uncanny, right?
So if both the ancient world and the modern one are describing these flawed systems, what is it that makes the 0.1% anomaly different? Well, the Apocryphon of John gives us this incredible answer. It says there was a secret ingredient, something hidden inside humanity from the very beginning that the system's creator, he never saw it coming.
So here's how the story goes. After Yaldabaoth and all his archons worked so hard to create the first human body, it was just a shell, an empty vessel. Totally lifeless, a psychic body that was completely inert. It couldn't move.
But then, right at that moment, a higher power from that true, perfect reality, it intervened, and it secretly placed a helper inside that lifeless body. A divine spark, a radiant reflection of light. And the best part? The flawed creator had absolutely no idea. And the effect was immediate and completely shocking to its creators. Suddenly, the body moved. It became radiant, and its mind, its intellect, was far, far superior to the ones who made it. And that is where their jealousy and fear comes from. They accidentally created something that was inherently greater than them, and they had no clue why.
Now, here's the really crucial part. This divine spark, it can just lie there, totally dormant, trapped by the system in what the old text calls the water of oblivion. It just sleeps. That is, until something comes along to trigger a massive awakening. So, what's the trigger?
Well, this is where both the ancient story and the modern one line up perfectly. They both completely reframe what suffering is. Pain, trauma, betrayal,
In this worldview, those things aren't just damage. They're the catalyst. They are the loud, jarring alarm clock that finally wakes you up.
So this whole process, it's a journey. First, you're in oblivion, just trapped in the system. Then comes the catalyst, that betrayal, that pain, and it becomes a calibration tool for your instincts. That leads to remembrance, where you wake up from that deep slumber. And finally, you reach integration. And that's where you become truly anti-fragile, where you learn to literally turn chaos into strength.
And this awakening, it leads to this final state. You're not a predictable pawn in their game anymore, not even close. You become a completely new kind of force, something the old system, it just can't compute you. You don't fit in the spreadsheet.
This quote, it just says everything, doesn't it? The person who has woken up becomes the system's absolute greatest fear. And not because they're out to destroy things, it's because they're incorruptible. And more than anything else, they are unpredictable. You just didn't break where you were supposed to break.
It's like you're running on a whole new operating system. Your instincts are just way too fast for their algorithms to track. Your silence becomes a weapon that dismantles manipulators, and you become this incredible paradox. You're the glitch that actually stabilizes the whole thing. You are the one single variable they never, ever saw coming.
So, the very thing that started out as a statistical nightmare, an error in the code, is ultimately revealed to be the system's necessary upgrade. Your very existence forces those old, stagnant, controlling systems to evolve, whether they like it or not.
And that really leaves us with one final thought, doesn't it? What is this story, this recurring story, really all about? Is it some ancient map for spiritual evolution? A guide to waking up that divine spark? Or maybe it's a modern myth for anyone who's ever felt like they just don't fit the mold? Or is it both? A timeless truth about human potential reminding all of us that the most powerful part of who we are is the one thing no system can ever control.